A win for basketball, a loss for football over the weekend. We'll talk about them both. We'll look at what Twitter says. It's all in Lockdown Syracuse, and it starts right now.
Are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Matt Bonaparte, Owen Valentine with you on this wonderful Monday morning. Thanks for making Locked On Syracuse your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. And let's talk about a victory for Syracuse basketball after a tough loss to Colgate. SU finally gets win number 2. Boeheim finally gets win number 1101. We all know he's been after that for a long time. And they get it over a bad Northeastern team, but hey, they made them look bad, and that's really all you can ask for. Judah looked great in the game. Joe looked good in the game. Jesse looked good. Everybody looked pretty good in that game. Benny looked pretty good in that game, at least for the latter half of it. I was happy with Benny at the end. So there are some positives for this basketball team, and like we all knew that each other would. A little bit of an overreaction after the Colgate game, but at the same time, Colgate then lost to Duquesne. So what does that say about us? But hey, Syracuse looked good against Northeastern, and I think we got to be happy about that.
100%. I mean, I think back to last year, Syracuse loses to Colgate. We're like, yeah, maybe Colgate's really, really good. Maybe they're really good. That experience, they're going to be a tough team. Same thing happened this year. You try to get that excuse, and then it doesn't really come to fruition. I think, maybe we can find an excuse for that loss down the road. This is a new team. It's a fresh team. It's a young team. But they did overcome that loss, and they came out pretty solid against Northeastern. And I was, I would say pleased with the play of the guys that we have sort of come to expect so far. Gerard, Jesse, Judah have really sort of shown that they're going to be the guys that are scoring for this basketball team. I think they combined for 58 of the 76 points. So just about 3/4 of the points were from those three, which, you'd like to see a little bit more spread out, but I think I'm okay with the fact that those three are going to get their fill. They're going to get the ball. They're going to do their thing. I do look at Benny. I think he played a much better game. We were really starting to question after the first 2 games, didn't really show anything all too crazy. Played a solid game, 7 points, 7 rebounds at this point. A little bit of foul trouble, nothing crazy, but I think he played a solid game, which is what everyone should be pleased with him, that, he took a couple of bad games or a couple of rougher games and came out and played and stepped it up and figured things out. And as you said, down the stretch looked a lot better in this game. I will say this. I look at the freshmen outside of Judah right now, and I'm looking for who's going to step up. Malik Brown comes in, was an outstanding little spark off the bench in that first half. I love sort of just the way he plays basketball is fun. He seems to do things that just, it looks so smooth. It looks so clean. It looks so effortless. And he comes through, and I remember that play. I think he was in the corner, and then a quick recovery on the defensive side, gets a huge block. Just sort of does the things that you want someone to do off the bench, and really came in with that spark and that energy. And I think he was a good reason, or a big reason, why Syracuse was able to finally get that lead to where they felt more comfortable in the first half. I like what he's done, but I'm looking at Chris Bell. I'm looking at Justin Taylor. I'm looking at, even Kadira for a little bit. Who of you is going to step up? Who can step up? And who can become that guy that's going to come in and do the job that you're supposed to do? And be that big player. And I'm not exactly sure who it is yet. I've seen flashes from Taylor. I've seen flashes from Copeland. I'm waiting for it from Chris Bell at this point still. But which of those 3 guys is going to step up and take those minutes? We saw Copeland playing that same spot that Bell and Taylor were playing in this basketball game. I think all 3 of them are vying for a piece of that pie. And who gets the biggest chunk is very much up for grabs right now.
Yeah, and you didn't even mention Peter Carey, who was not good in this game. He was terrible. 7 minutes, 3 fouls for the big. I am strictly on Peter Carey redshirt season train. Just take a redshirt, Pete. Don't need you. Maybe we will, but for now, we don't. Um, but to your point about Colgate from before and last year, everybody talking about maybe they'll be a good team. They ended up being a pretty solid team. Ended up going to the tournament as a 14 seed. I don't know if Boeheim said after the press conference in the Colgate game, like, "Oh, I think they're going to go right back to the tournament." They are 3-2 right now with a terrible loss to Duquesne, so I don't know if that's true, but we'll find out, I suppose. Um, yeah, I thought it was a solid game. We got to see a little bit of the depth and whatnot, but you're totally right about it being that position, that spot being up for grabs between Bell and Taylor and whatnot. Quadir came in, played 13 minutes. Like you're totally right about that. Bell, like you said, I mean, we are just still waiting for it from that guy. He was just another zero, a dud on the floor, and it gets to the point where you don't really know what he's gonna be, and at this rate, Boeheim's not gonna play him if he doesn't like him, and we all know what that leads to. But still, he's a talented player, and I think that he'll have to figure out his role on this team like any young player that plays for Syracuse will. But for now, like you said, we're waiting for it, and I don't know if we're gonna get it anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, I look at his season stats so far. He's got 36 minutes right now, 2 for 7 from the field with 5 points. He's got 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 steal. Like that's almost 40 full minutes of game time. That's a start to finish game. And those numbers are not, permitting him being, a starter at this point. And I know Boeheim has said, and I don't know if I've seen enough of it to back him up or not. He claims that he's the best shooter on the team outside of Girard. That's why he's starting. I haven't seen a shot that is good enough at this point for him to play the way he's playing and be the starter, right? Like when we used to harp on Trevor Cooney for not doing enough and not scoring enough, he was scoring and shooting threes and making threes. Maybe he wasn't making enough. Maybe he wasn't getting good enough looks. Maybe there were some dips that you took in Trevor Cooney, but he was at least giving flashes. Chris Bell has not shown the flash. He has not shown, something that says to me, yeah, that's a starting 3 guard for me right now. I'm looking to Justin Taylor, who's in a position where, hey, this spot is up for grabs. What can you do to take it? I'm looking at Quadir Copeland right now. This spot is up for grabs. What can you do to take it? And neither of them really look like they're chomping at the bit right now. They're not playing terrible. They're not playing terribly by any means, but they're not playing. Those 3 guys are very much in a conversation for who's playing the 25 minutes of this group. And right now in this game, Bell played 12, Taylor played 14, Copeland played 13. So they're all averaging 13 minutes right there with a plus or minus of 1, right? That spot is up for grabs, and you can tell when you look at those minutes. And none of them are really jumping. Taylor, I think, probably looked the best of the 3 in this game. Got on the board at least, grabbed a few rebounds. I think he had, if I remember, it might have been 3 rebounds in like his first 3 or 4 minutes on the field, or he were on the court. He was really getting after it. I liked seeing that. I am really, really curious to see, in the next couple days, who of those 3 steps up. We know Copeland can pass the ball. We saw, he really can do some things, and we saw that a lot in the exhibitions. We saw that a little bit early on. I liked what I saw when he came in the first game against Lehigh. Hasn't been the same in the games since then. So really looking at those 3 guys, all 3 are freshmen, all 3 with a lot to learn, all 3 with a lot of talent, but who steps up, who can be the guy that says, hey, there's 25 minutes available. There's double the minutes I'm playing on the board waiting for me right now. I need to step up and grab it, and I need to do that immediately.
For sure. All right, let's take a quick break. This one brought to you by SimpliSafe. Did you know that over the holidays, property crimes like burglaries and package theft spike nationally. That's why our friends at SimpliSafe Home Security are offering 50% off their award-winning security system so that more families can feel safe and secure this holiday season. Order your SimpliSafe system for half off today and enjoy advanced security and greater peace of mind this holiday season. In an emergency, 24/7 professional monitoring agents use Fast Protect technology exclusively from SimpliSafe to capture critical evidence and verify the threat is real so you can get priority police response. SimpliSafe is whole home security with advanced sensors for every room, window, and door, HD security cameras for inside and out, smarter ways to detect motion that alert you only when a threat is real, and even hazard sensors that detect fires, floods, and other threats to your home. 24/7 professional monitoring service costs less than $1 a day, less than half the price of ADT's traditional professionally installed system. With the top rated SimpliSafe app, stay in complete control of your system anytime, anywhere. Arm or disarm, unlock for a guest, access your cameras, or adjust system settings. Don't miss your chance to save big on the only security system that's recommended. Get 50% off any new SimpliSafe system at simplisafe.com/lockedoncollege today. This is their biggest discount of the year, so don't wait. That's simplisafe.com/lockedoncollege. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. Okay, back here on Locked On Syracuse. I'm Matt Bonaparte. He's Owen Valentine. We talked basketball. That's a win. Now we got to talk football, and that, of course, is not a win. 5 in a row uh, in terms of losses for Syracuse football. And this one hurt pretty bad. Maybe some bad calls went against Syracuse. Sure. Did A.T. Perry really catch the football in the end zone? I don't really care. Um, they had such a grip. Like, they looked so good in that first half. And I knew that them going into the half down 3, there was no chance they were coming back. I just didn't feel it. And maybe that's a bit LeBron meme of me, but still, that's how I felt. Um, they looked good on that one of those first drives. I mean, really, I think we tweeted it like it was the best they looked in weeks. Where Sean ran the ball in. I mean, it was just the first drive of the game. Yeah, I mean, they looked great on that drive, but I mean, they just couldn't carry it. Schrader, I mean, some people say he's playing hurt. Maybe that's true, but he just doesn't look good. LeQuint Allen threw a touchdown. That was cool. The defense was terrible. I mean, Michael got hurt. That didn't help. They got run all over. I mean, nobody was tackling out there. I mean, it was just a brutal game and one that they actually had a chance to win. And Owen, I gave you crap in at the end of the prediction episode, but you were a lot closer than I was in terms of score. Syracuse put points on the board, but the defense couldn't hold Wake. Like, nothing about that. And sure, like, a lot of people are going to say, of course they couldn't. They're injured, and this is a team without depth, and that's what happens when a team without depth gets injured. You get really thin, and that's true. But Deuce is still out there, and he didn't have a great game, and the linebacking core didn't have a great game, and guys were missing tackles left and right, and coverages were blown. It just, I think that it's hard for a team to have gone on such a roller coaster of emotions this year where they were they were the highest of highs, 6-0, ranked 14th in the country. How much more exciting can it get to you're going into week 12 and you're 6-5. That's or week 13. Like, that really, really hurts.
Yeah, I tweeted this out today, and I rewrote it because it was a little bit aggressive at the start when I wrote it the first time. But we loved to jump on the, oh my God, Syracuse was predicted to finish dead last in the ACC, and now at least they were predicted to finish last, but they're winning. They've got 6 wins, so like they've defied the odds and they've proven everyone wrong. Pause. If Syracuse loses to BC next week, and NC State wins, and although NC State plays UNC, who is a good football team, but if NC State wins and Syracuse loses, Syracuse finishes dead last in the ACC Atlantic. The predictions were 100% right. That is the reality of what the last month and a half has been for Syracuse. They have really, really continued to fall and continued to fall and continued to fall. And you'd think at some point they'd either hit the floor or find a safety net, and they haven't yet. And I'm looking for it, and I'm trying to figure out, when they can step it up. They need to beat BC. But to go to this game and look, and for what it's worth, I predicted 45-28, and the score was at one point 45-28 in the fourth quarter. So I was like, almost with a near perfect pick on that. I figured Syracuse's offense could get going in this game. I entrusted Schrader's "I'm healthy" comments, and he looked healthy on certain plays and certain moments, and especially early on. But you look at this, and this is a Wake Forest team that has fought, and it can continue to fight, and does not get phased when you get up on them. They never have this season. And you get up 21-10, and then you let up 35 unanswered. 35 unanswered points. There needs to be some sort of fight back. Wake Forest fights back every game. This was the fourth game that Wake Forest has been down by multiple scores. And the first three, they were down by 14, and this one, they were down by 11. This is the fourth game they've been down by multiple scores to come back and take the lead. They show the fight. They don't keel over. And this game, they did it again, right? And Syracuse needed to show that fight, and they didn't quite have it. And one thing I will say, if we're going to talk positives briefly, Syracuse can apparently throw the ball deep and catch it.
Yeah, I don't know.
What?
They haven't been doing that. DeMarcus Adams is good, and they haven't been using him all year. That guy's actually good. He's fast, and he can catch the football down the field, and they just haven't been doing that. I will give Robert and I some credit. Finally diversified the offense a little bit this week.
Shout out.
We finally got something from the offense. So Anai does deserve credit, and so does Jason Beck, for actually doing something with the air attack. Even if it was not enough, and even if Schrader couldn't really get it done the entire time, they still had some really, really nice plays down the field. And the Quint Allen touchdown was a really nice play, and there was good play design in a couple of places. Play call isn't always what it needs to be for Syracuse. A lot of times it's not, but I wouldn't blame play call on that game. You know what I would blame is, once again, Dino Babers' late game decisions. I can't believe he didn't go for two on that last touchdown. That was crazy. I couldn't believe that.
You want to keep it a 3-score game.
It was a cowardly decision. If he goes for two and they get it, instead of kicking for no reason at the end of the game, then you're actually going to tie the game. So stupid. It pains me to watch things like that. And it seemed like he was waving the white flag. You're not even trying to win. You're kicking that PAT. You're basically saying, okay, we lost. It would be a miraculous if you had won after that. You're down 10 with almost no time left. There's no chance you're going to win. If you're down 8, it's a totally different situation.
It is every game. There is a baffling moment where I wonder how Dino Babers continues to be unable to do what he's supposed to do. Sometimes it's the fourth down plays. Are you going to kick? Are you going to punt? Are you going to go for it? That decision is never ready. Sometimes it's the timeouts. Why did you call a timeout there? Why didn't you call a timeout there? Today, we are reacting to the fact that we apparently think it's a better decision to continue to be down by 3 scores than to try and be down by 2 scores. Albeit going 3 for 3 in terms of 2-point conversions is difficult. 100%. But you have to try. You have to try. You're already down. You're going to be down 3 scores regardless.
Watch Andre miss field goals? What's the point?
You're down 3 scores regardless. If you're going to kick the extra point, you're still down 3 scores. What is being down an extra point at that point, right? You're down 17. What is being down 18? Come on. Figure it out. Go for it. Give your team a chance. And show this team that you want to win. You want that fight. You want that drive. You're not complacent with the fact that you made a bowl game in the first 6 games of the season and then decided that you were done being a football coach. That is what has happened. You need to continue to make coaching decisions, and you are not making coaching decisions. I got torched early on in the season when I said, I understand they're 3-0. I understand they're 4-0, but Dino Babers is still a bad football coach. Talk to me. He's a terrible football coach. A terrible football coach.
Look, yeah, it was definitely some. I mean, 6-0 makes you look really good, but
It does.
when you
6-5
when you
makes
then
you
lose
look pretty
6
bad.
straight, and if they lose next week, it makes you look really bad. So we'll see. But let's take another quick break, and then we'll get to some Twitter replies. This one brought to you by our pals at Nissan. We've got a thrilling moment in college football this week, brought to you by Nissan. The thrilling designs behind the new lineup from Nissan are intended to empower drivers in vehicles as capable as the driver themselves. When I think of unbelievable abilities on the field for this week's thrilling moment, it's got to be LaQuint Allen throwing a touchdown to Devon Cooper. We
That was
saw him
fun.
try and do it earlier in the season, didn't exactly work out. He gets it this time. 33-yard touchdown pass for LaQuint. I was happy about it. All right, this segment has been inspired by the thrilling new designs featured across Nissan's new lineup of vehicles. Pursue what thrills you in the all-new Frontier, Armada, or Pathfinder today. Available now at nissanusa.com. Okay, we're back here on Locked On Syracuse. Matt Bonaparte, Owen Valentine with you. Let's go over to the Twitter machine. If you don't follow us on Twitter, please do that at LO_Syracuse so you can talk with us about the game, how you feel, and whatnot. We'll try to reply to what we can and everything. I'm going to go to our tweet asking for some post-game thoughts, and I'm just going to read.
Love
Syracuse
it.
Sports Online says, I thought the O-line played well considering we were without 3 starters. Fair point. Schrader
Yeah.
simply lacks the consistency and accuracy to be a high-level college passer. Defense was, quote, outsized again, and Dino is outclassed against guys like Clausen. Yeah, the O-line did play well, I thought, without having Kalan Ellis-Bleish and Matt Bergeron, who were all injured, is what Baber said in the post-game press conference, which is bad.
Yeah.
But having guys out there like Enrique Cruz, Jacob Bradford, it's just good to see what those guys can do. And I thought they played really well because somebody mentioned also in comments of another tweet that next year they're going to have holes on the defensive line and the offensive line again, and it's going to be up to those young guys, which is true, but I'm happy with what I saw from them for the most
Yeah,
part.
I was pretty pleased at this point. There is one where I look at right now and it compiled, and that's part of the issue was Syracuse was down 3, I think, or were they up? No, they were still up. They were up 21-17 at this point, right? Where you get back-to-back sacks allowed, bad sacks allowed, and Schmidt is forced to try a 52-yard field goal, I think it is. That was the one sort of moment where, or series of plays where it all sort of, fell on itself in terms of the O-line. But I did think, given the fact that 60% of your O-line was out hurt, and you were now playing guys making their first start and guys with, major significant snaps for the first time, I thought they held their own. I thought they did enough for Syracuse to be able to compete offensively. I have said this with Schrader that he did definitely 100% improve from last season. That does not mean he's where you need to be at this point. There's still more to be done. 100%. I think that's a fair take. The defense is outsized, and I cannot get through this episode without we acknowledge the fact that the defense has dealt with an infinite number of injuries. We're aware of that. But we still have to be aware of, what is going on here as well. The defense is outsized right now, and that goes to the bigger picture of recruiting and things like that, where obviously this is an extreme number of defensive starters that are down, but there does need to be something said about that. And when you look, what was the last point? The last point was the Dino getting out coached by Clausen. I don't know.
I don't know if it was that. I think it was Dino got out coached by himself. Like
Yeah,
it doesn't matter who's on the other sideline. He's gonna make it hard for himself.
Yeah.
So I don't really know that it's all that much of Clausen, who has had a couple really good seasons back to back and has made bowls, I think 6 years in a row or something like that. Who's a good coach.
Yeah.
But Dino, I don't think it was so much that he got out coached more than anybody out there would out coach him. which goes into another person's tweet that says Dino in-game coaching and clock management again. Defense played soft outside of Marlowe. Refs hurt us and took away a TD, but end of the day, they were the better team. November and Dino yet again another collapse. Officially done with him. I'm just saying, Owen, you said it before. People were so in on Dino, pissed at us for not being so in on Dino when they were 6-0. And look where we are, people. So we'll take you back. Don't worry. We'll take you back, but just remember
We're
this,
glad you're
okay?
still here. But I mean, it's been bad, and it's recurring stuff, right? They escaped early on. And I don't like to go back and now talk badly on things that I was once excited for. But like, it was a very fortunate 6-0. Right? I mean, UConn and Wagner were UConn and Wagner. UConn is playing in a bowl. I will give them that credit every time. You
Heck
played a
yeah.
Louisville team that looked bad, and I will say now does look better. You win a game you probably had no business being involved with against Purdue, the way you played in the first half against that game. You play another hideous football game against Virginia and end up on the winning side of things. And then you get very fortunate with NC State and Leary being hurt. So you were 6-0, but you were getting breaks. And when you're getting breaks and you're on the right side of things, and yes, that's something that Syracuse has not always been on in Dino's tenure, but now you're in this situation and you're not getting those same breaks, right? Wake Forest, Syracuse scores a touchdown, gets called back for a hold. Was it a hold? Was it not a hold? You can figure that one out. They're not getting those same breaks. They did get a couple of breaks in this Wake Forest game. I mean, Morin straight up dropped a touchdown pass, and Wake Forest was forced to kick. You were catching breaks in this football game, and they're just not there. The Dino in November stats are, as you said and tweeted, Bones, astounding. Yes, this is down the stretch. Yes, it's tougher competition in the month of November. You're playing conference opponents. You're typically a little bit injured at this point. But here's the thing. So is the other team. Right? The opposing team is also playing the tougher portion of their schedule and is also dealing with injuries that might have compiled throughout the season. That is not something unique to you at Syracuse, right? You are a part of this group, and you are a part of a squad right now, or a coach right now, where outside of 2018, what is it, two November wins? 3?
3 in 2018. It was 2 in 2019.
So he has 2 November wins in his career outside of 2018.
Well, in his SU career, yeah.
Yeah.
Could pick up another one next week, though, against BC.
True.
Maybe they go 8-5 this season. Maybe they go 7-6. Who knows?
Who knows?
Could also go 6-7. But hey, we will be there to cover it for you. And that's all the time we have on Locked On Syracuse today. Thanks for making Locked On Syracuse your first listen every day. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast, the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get podcasts. I'm Matt Bonaparte. He is Owen Valentine. We will see you tomorrow with content that I don't yet know. Peace.
Basketball, baby.
Basketball.